morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Napoleon Total, back with another Shogun 2 multiplayer. Actually, no, it's not multiplayer. It's Scramble for the Far East, and we're back with the Dutch. This is episode 3, and we literally had to deal with rebellion next turn. For those who haven't watched the previous episode, it's gonna make a lot more sense. But we had to deal with the previous army right at Higo, and we had to deal with a rebellion army. So that's unfortunate. I am preparing to war with the Satsuma, so that's a good thing, at least for us. And I'm still messing up my forces in this province, which I cannot say. Unfortunate. But Kumamoto, who we were at war with, is not done. They still have Yatsur Shiro. I'm pronouncing it horribly wrong. But we're gonna attack it in a few... Well, we're gonna attack it next turn because this army is not able to move or reach Yatsushiro. But we're gonna actually have an artillery, or we're gonna have our ships bombard it. And we have to repair this, upgrade this, destroy the cannon range, because the cannons are not regular cannons. They're wooden cannons, which makes them even worse when we can produce European cannons in some of our facilities. And I'm gonna end the turn. The Satsuma are moving around in Busan, so that's interesting. France, Joseon Kingdom. And we have the enemies attacking again. We're gonna fight this because I am not 100% sure now we're gonna win, although we all know now we're gonna win. If the enemy attacked the first time, which was in the last episode, and they still failed, then this time they're gonna pretty much fail again. For those who haven't watched the last episode, the fortifications are obviously the exact same thing, so if you want to see the fortifications, watch the second episode. And we're just gonna put our guys up on the walls and we're just gonna shoot away at the enemy. The enemy does not have any artillery, they just have massive blobs of militia. And once again, you're gonna hear me ranting about the enemy militia in a few seconds. As a matter of fact, those few seconds are gonna be right now. The enemy militia are dressed in the Japanese Imperial Guard Cavalry uniforms. Why are they dressed in the Japanese Imperial Guard Cavalry uniforms? Not to mention their pants look like they're plastic. Yeah, they're militia. The stats compared to a normal militia are exactly the same. So that's good. But once again, these guys are looking like they have plastic pants with the Japanese Imperial Guard uniform. They're actually going to be storming through the gate. And our guys are actually going to be, our citizen levies are just going to be putting down their spears against these guys. And they're actually going to do quite well because the enemy has a katana while we have a spear and our job is to hold. And considering the fact that these guys, the enemy militia, is terrible in melee, they rout. I still don't get why they are having the Japanese cavalry uniform. But that's that. We only lost 55, the enemy lost 1,000, so that's a pretty good trade-off. There's a rebellion, stuff like that, but not really important, considering the fact that nothing big happened. For those that are wondering, my voice does sound different because I'm using a new microphone, and also because I'm not sick. Or at least I'm not that sick, compared to a few days ago. Once again, it's exactly militia, no surprise right there. We're gonna have our army prepare to march pretty soon. As a matter of fact, this army is actually going to be attacking Busan, but we're not at war with the Satsuma. And we actually have to scout Busan, the area around Busan. So we know for sure there are no big armies around Satsuma. Not that it really matters, considering the fact that a big army does mean that we are going to be having a big battle, and we probably are going to win. But the only problem is that because it's winter, and I do have to take winter attrition trying to have the enemy army attack us. But in terms of, yeah, so that's that. We are trying to get a ship out, and I'm trying to find the best ship right here. Every one of those that says 26 guns, on paper, they have different stats. As a matter of fact, some have the exact same stats. So I'm wondering what's the difference between these, and if you make a custom battle, those ships are exactly the same, like in terms of shape, scale, and appearance. Except for the smaller ones, of course, but that's obvious. I'm gonna be assaulting Yamashiro the next turn, and essentially at this point we are racing against time because the Satsuma, they actually have a pretty good army at the late game, so we literally have to make sure these guys are dealt with quickly. I am trying to get a few units into this army. This is actually my son, so Jeron, and so yeah, that is my son. The dad is right here at Higo, at the border with Kumamoto. And the son is ready to assault Buzen, so that's good. I do need another general, and I need the generals quick because our armies are just going to be filled with East Indies infantry, and those guys are going to be pretty good, especially at the late game. But the enemy rebelling army is going to attack us again, so we're just going to auto-resolve because I have no intention of fighting the enemy army, because this is an easy victory for us. We have to do some stuff with Akasua, this island right here, and we have to be attacking Kumamoto right now, because I do not want them to get any more units in Yamashiro. We do have an agent right here, a military agent, so we're going to have him train the troops. And we are not ready for war against Satsuma, because if I want to do a war with Satsuma, we have to be ready to fight all across the board. And my army, one of my armies is already cornering Kumamoto. So the second I take out Kumamoto, this army is going to attack Buzen. And that army is going to prepare to go against Satsuma, which is pretty near Yamashiro. And once again, we have the problem of selecting what ship, but I decided, you know what, it's just select the ship with 900 range, 26 guns. And for those that are wondering, 26 guns doesn't really mean that it's 26 guns. It just has 26 guns on both sides. 24 guns, 12 on each side, and 2 guns in the back. But we are attacking the settlement right now. As you can see right here, our East Indies infantry are going to be opening fire against the enemy settlement. And it's going to take a while because the Dutch have some of the worst guns in the game. Actually, no, the worst guns in the game are matchlocks. These guys have muskets, which are quite bad, but they're not that bad compared to matchlocks. But compared to, like, the United States, Britain, France, and the Prussians, these guys suck. The Russians, they have an advantage in the form that they have a lot more manpower than the Dutch, in terms of for every unit, and they're quite good in melee, especially depending on what unit you deploy. But we're just gonna use artillery, and we're just gonna sit right here and just gonna shoot the enemy to death. Thankfully, because this castle is made out of wood, we can actually use our artillery to terrifying effect against the arrow tower. And not to mention the fact that the Japanese the defenders decided to sally out, so we're going to counter that with a charge. But before that, obviously, we had to shoot at them because these guys are dragoons. So we fired a volley. As you can see in the background, half of the enemy cavalry force is dead, and right now, they are getting completely destroyed. During the entire encounter, we did not lose a single person, while the entire enemy cavalry force, or the ones that sallied out right here, have been killed. The enemy decides to sally out once again through the gate, but thankfully one of my units have top square, and every unit above, which, for those that are wondering, I was shooting at them for 20 minutes straight, are dead. And the enemy cavalry is finally routed, but we're gonna give them a volley, and they're just gonna all die. Well, at least most of them are gonna die. And actually now, as of right now, I'm preparing to storm into the castle gates, and it should be quite an easy attack because most of the enemy defenders have been shot to death. Obviously, because the Dutch have terrible weapons, which include a musket. It took us 20 minutes straight. I was watching the time. It was more like 20, 22, 23 minutes. Obviously, I didn't just stood there and fired. I obviously did rest some of my troops, but around 22 minutes, yeah, it was not fun. Our guys are gonna storm through, and to my surprise, there was actually one enemy cavalry unit left. It's a quite terrible unit. It's a Japanese Ronin cavalry. Katana cavalry, I think. Japanese Ronin Katana cavalry. So I decided to set up my guys on the hill. I was hoping to fire a volley, but ends up they didn't. But thankfully we have the high ground, so that means the Japanese cavalry attack that you see going on right here didn't really do much damage. And now, since they didn't do much damage on the cavalry charge, I'm just gonna fight them in melee, and we are actually gonna have the upper hand because we have way more manpower right here. Yeah, this is a Katana Ronin cavalry. So as I can tell, they're a Ronin unit because of their headdress, the way that they have their hair, and that's essentially Ronin. It's essentially a Ronin unit, mounted, and they have katanas, hence they're Ronin Katana Ronin cavalry. But that's it. This battle is pretty much over. I just have to break down the gates, and the rest is pretty much boring. So we're gonna add that to end screen, and we only lost 279 while the enemy lost 1100, and we have to repair everything right now because, well, we're gonna be marching on soon. Faction destroyed Kumamoto. We just destroyed them, so that's a pretty good thing. And we're gonna be sending our navy to Satsuma itself, and we're gonna be bombarding it. That's good. We also are gonna send our Geisha Petrus to Satsuma to see what armies the Satsuma have in Satsuma province. So that's gonna get pretty heated pretty fast. In Busan, I am also deciding whether I attack this turn, but I decided, yeah, we can wait another turn, so we're gonna look at our ships, because I like to make tabs on when the ship is gonna be produced. So we have 5 turns until our ship is produced. Satsuma is moving troops away from Busan, so that's really unfortunate for them, because when I attack next turn, it's not gonna look pretty for them. We have rebellion, but once again, a rebellion with no rebels doesn't really need to be put down. Our son, Jerome, is gonna attack, and we're gonna continue the siege. It is winter, so we're gonna be taking winter attrition, but I'm not interested in attacking. We're gonna continue the siege. The enemy defense is pretty strong, so I'm gonna have my geisha look around to see if there's any army, considering the fact that I'm really interested to know if there's an enemy army around, so I know, even if it's winter, can I continue the siege. I'm gonna have my agents train my army, and there's nothing I can produce here, so I'm gonna send my fleet around Satsuma. I'm gonna have the geisha also go to Satsuma to see what the heck is going on. And the dad, right here, is gonna be attacking Satsuma itself, while the son, which we just saw a few seconds ago in Busan, is gonna be attacking Busan. But, Oka, who are at war with Satsuma, are pretty friendly towards us. I do want to request a trade agreement. The deal is satisfactory. Can I get some money out of it? The deal is also satisfactory, so I'm gonna ask a lot more money. 2k looks like the limit, so I'm gonna get 1. Yeah, it's not gonna work, so it's 1000k, and I'm decided, yeah, just take it. Now they're very friendly towards us, and we have to find a way to break the siege at Busan, because if I attack Busan, it's gonna be the defensive walls at Busan are not a joke. I'm also gonna be producing another ship very soon. I just have to find out what province. This place has a port, but this port sucks, so I have to upgrade it. And so yeah, that's interesting. Our armies right here can potentially attack Busan, but Busan, well, like I said, Busan's defensive walls are not a joke, and especially since they have katanas, it's gonna be pretty darn hard. I'm actually gonna continue the siege, and the enemy army outside is literally in the classic trap. So we're actually gonna attack that army. That army is gonna withdraw. across the peninsula. And actually now we actually are gonna auto-resolve this. I'm actually gonna quick save because if the results don't favor towards me, I'm just gonna do it again. But it should be pretty favorable. Lost 15, which is wonderful. Our sun leveled up, so that's gonna be good. We're gonna peacefully occupy, and we have to repair. We have to get this guy leveled up. Jerome. I think the tax rate was better. 5% tax rate or +1 to bodyguard. I rather prefer for the tax rate. We're gonna destroy that because the cannon range is 100% useless. We're gonna have this army come in to defend when they do attack, which looks like pretty soon. And we're gonna be helping Oka. Not because... well, actually, no, we're gonna be helping the Oka. There's no one at Satsuma, so that's pretty good. That's a pretty good sign. And from the looks of it, Oka also has a pretty strong army. I eventually do have to put a fleet at this crossroad right here, or sea crossroad right here, because I do not want the enemy to be attacking this province. I just realized we do have an extra unit that we can pull to our sun, so we're gonna do that. And the people right here are pretty happy, so I'm gonna exempt them from taxes, which looks like a bad idea. So I'm just gonna end the turn. Our tax rate, by the way, for those who don't know by now, it's extremely high, is all I'm gonna say. A regular province with no units has minus 24 morale, and some even have minus 30, well, minus 30 public order, so that's not good. But that said, since rebellions are not really a problem in this mod, why the heck do I not tax the heck out of my citizens? We have mounting up rest, and we have stuff. The ship is going to be coming out in 3 turns, and I'm going to be upgrading the port again. I have to upgrade this port because I do want marines. Not that the marines are useful, but it's a cool thing to if you have the chance to get another unit in your roster, why not? Why not? Once again, I rather prefer Dutch East Indies infantry than marines, but once again, like I said, if you can have the ability to get another unit in your army, why not? This army is pretty strong, and this army is just going to be sent back here. This army is going to be massed up here, so we have a massive army in Busan, and we are going to be looking at Bungo. But it looks like the Satsuma literally have an army right here, and that just fought a battle. They are taking winter attrition, which is good, but I do want to take Bungo for myself. And since I actually can recruit units, I'm actually going to recruit more East Indies infantry. And then I said, yeah, let's not. I do want to save up money for another thing. And that is, once again, building up my fleet. The Satsuma units are going to group together to form a massive army, and they're going to attack Bungo like that. And now, at this point, I really am interested in asking Bungo or Oka, who are at Bungo, for essentially a military axis. Because the second the Satsuma finish and take Bungo, which they are, hopefully, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take it from the Satsuma. But once again, this province has -10 public order. I'm actually gonna get a cottage industry to upgrade my, to get more money. I'm actually gonna attack Bungo right now, and we're actually gonna have no repercussions because, well, yeah, I don't know why we don't have repercussions. That's kind of weird. We should get repercussions because we just signed a trade agreement, but I don't think trade agreements really count. I know in Total War 3 Kingdoms, if you sign a trade agreement and then you go to war, that pretty much dooms it. Also, for those who haven't realized, the Qing Empire is dead, so that means the Russians have taken the Qing, which does means that the Russians are getting powerful, which means they are going to be going for Korea, which means that we have to hurry up, because another European power is beating us. Or Eurasian, because Russia is massive, is what I'm going to say. I'm going to get more troops on the battlefield, and we're just going to prepare. Our geisha is going to be scouting around, and we're going to see what the enemy has. France, Joseon Kingdom, etc. If you ask me what is the most powerful faction in terms of the campaign, I would say it's either France or France or the Dutch. But yeah, I would say the France, because like, yeah. We're gonna be looking right at Bungu, but because we can take this place, I just don't want to because there's a Satsuma army outside, and I just want the two of them to kill each other first, and then after that we're just gonna do stuff. We're actually gonna be attacking Satsuma. The defense army in Satsuma is pretty big, and we're gonna bombard the enemy port. I'm actually gonna pull away because I have no intention of attacking Satsuma right now. Not to mention the fact that we're still sieging Bungu out. Obviously we're not gonna be sieging for long because the second Satsuma attack, I'm just gonna pull back. I'm pretty much sure that the United Kingdom, the United States, France, Northern Alliance are getting pretty much stronger. I doubt the Northern Alliance is getting stronger, but hey, guess what? We have a naval battle. But I don't think the Northern Alliance is gonna get stronger, considering the fact that they have a pretty bad roster. But welcome to the naval battle. This is a 26 guns, and they have 12 guns on both sides, 2 guns in the back. And once again, you might be asking right now, are they even useful? And my response is, depends on the situation. But if you want to make your army cheap, I highly suggest you to get the 24 gunned. Yeah. The naval battle is going to continue. We just saw our ship. Now we're going to be looking at the enemy ship. They have a Bune and a smaller ship. But in terms of numbers, they outnumber us. But we do have one big trick up our sleeve, and that is we literally have, you guessed it, a thing called a Canister Shot, and that was the first volley. You might be thinking that volley sucked, which, I'm going to be honest, it did. This second volley starts to fire, so this ship is going to stop, and I'm preparing to fire another canister volley at the other ship. Canisters, for those who don't know, start fires. And I've actually been testing that in regular Fall of the Samurai, and in some cases, yeah, against a wooden walls like castles, like a hilltop fortress. Actually, no, especially on maps like where they have a wooden fence around the perimeter. It's pretty good against that. It actually tends to burn out the outer fortifications, especially if they're made out of wood. But when I use them against like a normal settlement, like Satsuma Fortress or something, it tends to not work. And another thing is that the second I set fire on this ship, the men jump down. It's in for every Total War game, but at this point, I'm always thinking, isn't it safer to just clear out the deck by like putting out the fire and not jumping out of the ship? But unless you know how to swim, but like either that or you just try to save the ship by fighting the fire. But like if you don't know how to swim, if you jump, you're gonna die no matter what you do. But yeah, the enemy sailors are gonna jump. We actually lost, the enemy lost 2 ships. We didn't even lose a single ship. As a matter of fact, we didn't even lose a single person. So that's gonna be pretty interesting. We're still gonna continue. The Satsuma decided to land an army in Busan, so that's really unfortunate for us. And yeah, so that's that. But we're just gonna do some micromanaging. We're actually gonna be sieging Satsuma right now, so that's good. And we're gonna be sending this army out. We're gonna attack again because I do not want the enemy to be raiding our settlements. But I actually still at the same time want to be on the defensive. I'm actually gonna be putting my navy right there. I actually do have another general, so I'm just gonna send them to Busan. So that's good. I actually do have a general for all 3 of my armies right now, and I can actually produce another army. This time is going to be entirely a Dragoon army. Actually, no, a cavalry-focused army. Well, a more cavalry-focused army. I come to find for this mod that if you deploy all cavalry armies, it's not the best. But in this mod, cavalry is very good. It's very good. But I think the mod developers did a good job by making cavalry good, but not overpowered. Meaning that you can deploy cavalry, but if you deploy too many cavalry, it doesn't work that well. So I think that's a pretty good thing that the modders did. Not to mention the fact that cavalry is extremely expensive, but in multiplayer battles, they're just gonna crush everyone that they face. So yeah, that's that. The enemy is actually going to be attacking us, so we have to fight the battle. You see my Dragoons at the start of the battle. They're preparing to open fire a volley at the enemy cavalry. We actually do fire right now, and half of the enemy forces drop. We actually fire 2 volleys because we have 2 units. The enemy charges, we're just going to fall back. But unfortunately for us, the enemy, this Katana Ronin actually catches us in melee. So I'm going to send in my Colonial Cavalry to hit them. I tried desperately to get my Dragoons out. But fortunately for us, we didn't lose that many Dragoons. And the enemy cavalry, because we fired 2 volleys at them, decided to, yeah, no, we had enough. So they're going to run away. But that was the first encounter of this entire battle. And the second encounter, once again, is with my cavalry. The enemy only has 2 units of cavalry. That was the first one that we just saw destroyed. Now the second one is getting destroyed. This one is slightly better because they're a samurai, mounted samurai unit. I think they're a mounted Yari samurai. But I'm going to fall back. I'm gonna fall my entire cavalry back, and the good thing for these Dragoons is that they can reload when they just fired. Dragoons are not that great in melee, but they're most cavalry have the exact same stats. That's why I chose the larger number one, but the one with the 80 units instead of 60. But we fired another volley at point blank range. The enemy does charge us, and it occurs that this mounted samurai is a Yari mounted samurai, so they're pretty good on a charge. And as a matter of fact, even despite the fact that we fired 2 volleys at them, and we had 2 cavalry Dragoon type units, so we had 2 mounted gun units. So that was essentially 4 volleys being fired at these guys since we had 2 of them. And these guys are still pretty good at fighting. As a matter of fact, their armor is pretty good looking, and I think the modders did a pretty good job of making some of the armor models look better. But yes, that's that. The enemy cavalry is finally rounded, and now we can actually return home. What I meant by home is my defensive line that I've decided to set up. My defensive line on the right is most of my Dutch, quote-unquote, Dutch infantry. On my left is essentially my East Indies infantry, and there's a lot more East Indies infantry than you would expect. yeah, our entire defensive line is pretty much stacked. And in the center we do have artillery, so that's going to make the situation even worse for the enemy. The enemy has a few units. One of the first one is a bow unit, and behind them they have a Naginata samurai type unit. And, well, you're going to see what happens to both of them, because they're going to be fired upon right now, or a few seconds ago. They're going to be fired upon, and to my surprise, the guns at this range, they're surprisingly deadly. So, yeah, they actually lose quite a lot of guys. The first unit decides to rout, which is kind of funny considering the fact that they only took a few volleys. The second unit is just going to stand there. We do have Canister firing at them, and for once I think Canister actually does a morale damage. So they're just going to sit there. The second unit behind them is a Naginata samurai unit type. Naginata type samurai unit. They're going to just be sitting there. Now they're going to actually charge. But we're just going to fire complete volleys at them, and you're going to see them drop pretty quick, pretty fast. Actually not that fast, but actually now starting to go quite fast. These guys decide to rout after losing a few guys, which works to my advantage. I am not sending the cavalry to chase them, because I know for sure that if I send the cavalry to chase them right now, what's going to happen is my cavalry is just going to be caught up in melee, which is something I do not want as of right now. But yeah, that's that. The enemy is going to be rushing once again with these massive yaris. They're spear levies essentially, and they actually stood a better chance in case that they made it to this tree line and they were like gunned down. Behind them we have a Naginata Ashigaru unit, and at this point I'm more like showcasing the Satsuma army, because essentially the Satsuma have a very diverse roster, which is pretty good, and they also have a very diverse roster in the late game. So yeah, Satsuma is a pretty, it's like the Qing for melee, but they have better katanas. Well, they have katana samurai, so that's pretty good. They have better katanas, and unlike the Qing, they have a pretty good gun arsenal type unit at the end. This militia is getting routed off the field, and the enemy is attacking in waves, so that is going to work very well for us. Sorry. And so yeah, the enemy are going to be attacking up the hill. Once again, my question is, why are militia wearing the Japanese Imperial Guard uniform? But these bow samurai are getting routed off the field once again. Still, I am not sending my cavalry to chase, because usually I want to send my cavalry to chase after routing units. That's what cavalry is for, essentially. But there's a lot of gun units right here, and I'm not risking it. From my position, this battle looks something like this, and yet at this point I haven't lost a single person, and I have inflicted quite a damaging amount of damage, I could say. Our guns are firing canister, and because the enemy is so blobbed up, at least one gun is gonna hit. We actually do hit a lot of them, as a matter of fact, as I later found out. And despite at this range, we do a lot of damage considering the fact that we are at this range. We're actually going to be firing more faster, and we are actually going to be deploying, well, a lot more troops in the sector. They're actually going to be deploying a lot more troops in the sector, but with canister, rapid firing guns, because, well, actually no, they were just firing normal. Our guns firing at a rapid rate. This Ronin samurai routes, which leaves the entire enemy army with this one katana samurai. And these katana samurai are going to charge up the hill, have our entire army volley at them, and they're going to run away. Keep in mind that the Katana Samurai is the best unit left. And with that, the entire enemy army roused, and that is when I send in my cavalry force to chop them up. Which, let's be honest, it's a long time for us to kill them. But, yeah, the entire army at this point is like, nope, we had enough, we're running away. But, before they realize, all of them are going to be dead, because my cavalry finished them off. But anyway, that is it for this battle, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I would be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.